begin with the Ohio toxic train derailment. Residents there still not sure the water is safe to drink, despite the EPA saying otherwise.
All families need to know that they are safe.
The water, we are not showing any evidence of any contaminants. The governor pushed that news out yesterday. The municipal water wells are safe.
Weeks after a toxic train derailment carrying hazardous materials in East Palestine, Ohio, authorities are still saying testing has not detected anything of concern at this time. The EPA is saying the water is safe to consume as well. I want to bring in now Mike DeWine. He's the governor of Ohio, taking the time this morning. Governor, good to see you, and thank you for taking the time. Good morning to you. First off, if you could talk to me about this. I know that you are speaking to folks on the ground there. There's a lot of concern. There have been a lot of leaders, including the EPA administrator and a couple of senators that have visited East Palestine. What are you hearing at this time? What is the latest, if you could share with the viewers?
Well, where Senator Vance went, the clip you just played, that water is contained, and so certainly it is polluted. Certainly it has the chemicals in there, but it was contained right there. Look, when we're talking about drinking water, we've always felt, the experts have always told us that the wells of the village would be good, but we wanted to make sure. So we went in, we actually tested, the five separate wells. That water all comes back good. So therefore, we've now told the people of the village, you can certainly, if you want to, can certainly drink that water. As far as people who have their own individual wells, we are testing their wells. So if they ask us to test the wells, we'll get somebody to test that well. When the results come back, then we tell them what the results are. And so far, the results have been that every well that we have tested there, has been good. As far as the air, we've continued to monitor the air, and we've got monitors all over the village. But in addition to that, and those monitors, by the way, have continued to show that the air is good. It's clear. There's no problem with that. As far as people's houses, and we know some people are concerned about, well, what about the air inside my house? We will test their air. So far, we've gone into hundreds of homes at people's request, tested it, and in every single case, the air has been good. But look, these people have been through a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been traumatized. I mean, imagine this horrific train wreck, 50 cars right in their village, right at the edge of their village, in their village. Mm-hmm. So we understand that people have grave concerns. So we've reached out. First of all, we've had our health director, who's been there a number of days, a medical doctor, talking with people. But we also recognize that we need to give them more. So we've reached out to HHS, and we've had contact with them. They're sending in a team. We're going to establish a clinic early next week, right in the middle of the village, so that anybody, whether they have insurance, don't have insurance, they don't have to worry. They could go into that clinic, talk to a doctor. That doctor will in turn be hooked into the experts, the national experts, in regard to toxicity,
Sure.
in regard to chemical exposures. So this is a process we're going through.
Yep.
And look, I understand people's concern. I get it.
Yeah, if I could jump in really quickly here, is it correct that you requested federal assistance from the Biden administration and that was denied, citing that it did not meet qualifications?
Let me go through that very quickly. From the word go, we had the EPA, the federal EPA, working hand in hand with our Ohio EPA. That was from the very beginning. Next, we reached out to the Defense Department when our Ohio National Guard was trying to model what the controlled release would actually do, how far it would go. As far as the CDC, or excuse me, as far as FEMA, we don't qualify yet, but we're going to go ahead and file just in case in the future the railroad stops paying. The railroad stops covering these expenses. We're going to hold the railroad accountable. Look, they're the ones who caused this problem. They're the ones who ought to pay. They're the ones who ought to not only pay for the cleanup, but if people have individual problems, they need to be paying for that. And we're going to make sure that they in fact do. But we're going to have the application in, as we said, to FEMA, just as a really a backstop. But as of yesterday, we got HHS. Had contact with them. They're going to come in and they're going to be of assistance, as I just talked about.
So Norfolk Southern, again, offering to pay out money, I believe $1.2 million at this point, and offering checks as well to residents that were affected in this area. But the bottom line here, too, is the residents. I know how much you care about the Ohio residents there. This didn't happen to Cleveland, to Columbus, to Cincinnati, right? A major city in your states, or it happened to a very small town of 5,000 folks impacted in that area, potentially impacted in East Palestine. And we have spoken to some of those. They have major concerns, despite EPA officials coming down, or perhaps someone served from your administration within the health department in that state saying, hey, everything is safe, you can drink the water. They still don't feel that way. Some residents have left East Palestine that have been lifelong residents and have not returned. One was a mother with an 8-month-old that does not feel safe. What do you say to that mother?
We understand. Look, they've been through a lot. They've been through hell. So we get that. So what our job, I think, is to continue to monitor the water, monitor the air. We're going to continue to do that. Give people these results every single day. But in addition to that, setting up this clinic that we're going to do next week where anybody can just walk in, say, look, I've got this problem, I'm worried about this, and talk to someone who really understands, how these chemical exposures work and what the problems are. They're going to be tied into the national experts. So, look, we get the people's problem, we understand it, and we get that. We're trying to give every kind of support that we can, and we're going to continue to do that. And frankly, we're also going to continue to hold the railroad responsible. Sure. The other thing I would say is we need Congress to take a look at rail safety. The fact that they could bring a train like this into the state of Ohio and not have to notify us, not have to notify any official in the state of Ohio, something's wrong with the law. We need to change the federal law in this area.
There's a lot of calls for the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, to respond to this, perhaps visit, perhaps show a little bit more focus on what is happening there in Ohio, again, with that specific train derailment that's affected so many people. Obviously, too, we didn't get to talk about the soil as well in that area, and obviously livestock issues, fish dying within that area as well. What I did want to ask you a very frank question. It has been told to those residents in that area, it is safe to drink the water. So my question for you, Ohio Governor, would you drink the water in East Palestine? If a resident asked you to today, are you comfortable with saying that you would drink that water?
Oh, absolutely. Look, we've tested this water. All 5 wells that go into the village system are clear. Absolutely, the water is safe.
All right. We'll leave it right there, Governor. I know you have your hands full. We'll continue to check in there with how this is proceeding. Thank you so much for taking the time for the viewers this morning.
Good to be with you. Thank you very much.